This is the PlayStation Portal, and in this video, I'm going to give you a review on what I think the PlayStation Portal is and if it's worth your money. Sony had released a PlayStation Portal device in late 2023, and that PlayStation Portal device is no different from the PlayStation Portal that was released in February of 2025. The only thing that's different about that portal and this portal is the fact that the color is different. The original PlayStation Portal was white and had different hues in it, and then this 2025 version, the PlayStation Portal, is black. That's the only difference. The buttons are the same, the symmetrical thumbsticks are the same, they feel really good. The buttons are nice and tactile. It still has an 8-inch display here, which is an LCD display. And if we're talking about display, the PlayStation Portal, both the white and the black one, are only capable of putting out full HD resolution. So for those of you who like to play your games at 4K resolution, this is not it. But let's talk about what the PlayStation Portal is. The PlayStation Portal is a remote streaming device, meaning that this device, it doesn't have a hard drive, it doesn't have any type of expandable storage, it doesn't have its own processor. The only thing that separates this from a regular DualSense PlayStation 5 controller is the fact that it has this 8-inch LCD display. All of that sounds a little negative, but there are quite a lot of good things about the PlayStation Portal. So let's go and talk about the design. So this display here, again, is going to be an 8-inch LCD FHD, meaning 1080p display. And honestly, because of its small form factor, it looks really good. And so again, it's not going to play 2K or 4K graphic type games, but the 60 Hz refresh rate really kind of balances the gaming experience. So even though you're not getting super crisp detail graphics at 4K, the 1080p plus the 60 Hz refresh rate really balance each other out, giving the gamer a really good experience. And so now let's actually look at the actual design for the controller, and let's look at the back. So the back here is pretty basic. What you're looking at right here is going to be the back portion of the LCD display, and that's it. Nope, just kidding. Actually, at the bottom here, there's going to be a USB-C port as well as a 3.5 headphone jack. And now that's it. And there is really, truly nothing else beyond that. On top of the PS Portal, we then have a power button, which is over here. And then it looks like that's a sync button. So that way it can sync over to your PlayStation 5. And then on the opposite side of the top, you then have your volume rockers. The left one is to lower the volume. The right one is to increase the volume. And then you have a small little speaker slit right here. And then another small speaker slit over there. And then naturally, you have your bumper and trigger buttons at the top left and right hand corner of the screen. On the front side of the PlayStation Portal, not talking about the display, we have a symmetrical thumbstick design. Feels really good. The grip on these thumbsticks are phenomenal. You have your start and select button, just as you would assume. And then you have the triangle, X, square, and circle button. That's going to be typically found on a PlayStation controller. And then you have the D-pad. Again, this is just going to be a PlayStation DualSense controller with a screen on top of it. So in regards to a PlayStation 5 controller, this is what it looks like. It looks pretty similar to the PlayStation Portal, but you can see that there is a large difference between the two. The design is actually relatively the same. The curvature in the grip sections, the thumbsticks are very similar. The buttonology here is almost identical, maybe a little bit different in terms of size, but you can see that Sony took this PlayStation controller and said, let's take this DualSense controller, cut it in half, and then add an 8-inch LCD display to it. And then that's where this comes into play. Now, with the PlayStation Portal, just because it has the LCD display, it doesn't lose any of the DualSense haptic feedback that you would receive on a regular PlayStation 5 controller. So if you're not familiar with the DualSense haptic feedback on the PlayStation controllers, it's phenomenal. I would have to say the fact that whenever you're trying to shoot your enemy or try to pull back your bow in whatever game, or when you're walking through water, you get to feel that kind of resistance while you're pressing on the buttons, as well as the fact that the PlayStation 5's DualSense controller does have a speaker in there, which just adds to the immersion of the gaming experience. And that immersion translates equally, if not better, to the PlayStation Portal because of the fact that you get all of those haptic feedbacks, whatever it may be, and then it has the speakers on it still. So that means you can play all your games and then still have that rumble, still have that vibration to help you with that immersion. So the PlayStation Portal actually has a 4,370 milliamp hour battery, which is not huge, but it's also not bad considering the fact that, like I said earlier, this doesn't have a processor. It simply just streams games from your PS5 or over the cloud, which means that the battery life on this PlayStation Portal lasts for a decent amount of time. I think I was getting anywhere along the lines of 4 to 5 hours of gameplay on a single charge before I had to recharge it. In order to charge the PS5, there is that one single USB-C port, which you can play games while it's charging, and this USB-C port is only for charging. There's no data transfer within that USB-C port. The feel and the weight of the PlayStation Portal is really good. It comes in at about 2.5 pounds, and I would feel like because it's so ergonomic and because the design is just so well placed for your hands, it doesn't feel heavy in your hands, meaning that you're able to go ahead and play a few games or even maybe beat a few games with this actual device. And the PlayStation Portal, while it has a modern and sleek and sexy design, it's not perfect. And I say that because of the fact that while this device has the ability to put out really nice graphics, has all the haptic feedback, you're able to play your PlayStation library, it is 101% dependent on internet connection and or a connection to your PlayStation 5. So that means that your PlayStation Portal has to do remote play from your actual PlayStation 5. So basically what I'm saying is that you're not playing the PlayStation 5 with this controller with your TV and your console over here. You're playing your PlayStation 5 and your games on this, which sounds phenomenal when it works. So as I had mentioned, the PlayStation Portal is heavily reliant on some type of connectivity, be that your PlayStation 5 connectivity or internet connectivity. And so if you don't have a strong home network, or maybe you don't have a strong Wi-Fi connection wherever you may be, you're not going to really enjoy your PlayStation Portal. And the PlayStation Portal can actually cause more frustration than it can cause fun. So the PS Portal is not a standalone device. And so since the PS Portal is so reliant on the internet connectivity or the remote play connected to your PlayStation 5, do not think that you could take this PlayStation Portal on a car trip, a ferry ride, on the plane, anywhere that you cannot connect to an internet source or your PlayStation 5. And that's all to say right there that that's the worst part of the PlayStation Portal. Everything else is as good as it's advertised to be. So when the PlayStation Portal first released in 2023, gamers were limited to only doing PlayStation Remote Play, meaning that you were only able to play whatever you had installed on your PS5 onto your PS Portal. And that was it, meaning that you had to have a PlayStation 5 in order to even use a PlayStation Portal. But in late 2024, Sony released a beta cloud version of the games that you're allowed to play on the PlayStation Portal, meaning that you were free from having to buy a PlayStation 5 and still play games on it. Now, so long as you have a PlayStation Plus premium subscription, you could play those subscription games on the PlayStation Portal over the cloud, again, so long as you have internet connectivity, meaning you didn't have to actually have a dedicated PlayStation 5 to play games. Now, there are some caveats about that because one, the PlayStation Plus premium subscription plan costs money. Number two, the PlayStation Plus premium subscription plan doesn't have the latest and greatest gaming catalog. So if you're trying to play, I don't know, let's say Monster Hunter Wilds on your PlayStation Portal, and you don't have a PS5, you're kind of not going to be able to. All right, so future Derek here. I already recorded most of my PlayStation Portal review, but then as I was editing the video, I realized that I forgot to do one important thing, and that's to touch on the topic of connectivity for your peripherals of the PlayStation Portal, specifically audio peripherals, meaning that if you have any type of audio peripherals like your Galaxy Buds or your AirPods, or maybe you have a Bose headset, you're not able to connect those Bluetooth devices to the PlayStation Portal. And so the actual kind of audio connection for the PlayStation Portal is using some type of proprietary Sony connectivity frequency or something along those lines. And that means that all of your earbuds, all of your Bose headphones, is not going to work with your PlayStation Portal, which is really unfortunate because that means that you have to purchase a dedicated Sony audio peripheral into the PlayStation Portal ecosystem. I get why Sony did that because they want people to buy more of their items, and you know, it's a business at the end of the day, but it's just kind of like, really? So now that's all to say that PlayStation has actually developed a really good device. Does it have its caveats? For sure, every device is going to have its caveat, but who's this PlayStation Portal for? This PlayStation Portal, I believe, is going to be for the casual gamers. It's going to be for those people who have to fight with their family members, maybe their children, because their children want to watch Netflix on a Friday night where you want to spread democracy on Helldivers. Or maybe this PlayStation Portal is for those people who are traveling and then you're going to be at a hotel that has a relatively steady connection. You can go ahead and do remote play or even play the cloud beta games, again, so long as you have good internet. Now, in the limelight of good internet, Sony states that in order to play games either via remote play or through the cloud-based version, you should have an internet bandwidth that is allowing you to have at least 5 megabits per second. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now that I think my house here in Seattle has probably the worst internet in the world. And with that said, I feel like the PlayStation Portal is actually doing its best with whatever internet connection that it's working with.
Good to have you back, Rio. Good to be back, Danica. So, we've been seeing reports of an attempted robbery in Harlem. Unfortunate.
This is it. This is the solemn duty for which you were born. Defend democracy at any cost.
Orbital barrage incoming. Stand clear.
Unleashing democracy.
So I pay 1 gigabyte of bandwidth at my house, and I maybe, if I'm lucky on a good day, will pull in about 198 megabits per second because it's spread across all of my devices in my house. And I noticed that while I'm playing my PlayStation Portal, even though my internet isn't great, it still delivers so long as I have a relatively strong internet connection. I am able to play Helldivers, I am able to play Ghost of Tsushima, other AAA games on the PlayStation Portal, and I enjoy it thoroughly. But the moment that my internet hits a little bit of a speed bump, or maybe it has any type of latency, say goodbye to the PlayStation Portal. It's just going to cause you frustration because you'll be playing games, there'll be a little bit of a hiccup in the network, and then yeah. Now, I was able to spread democracy on Helldivers 2, which is a live service game on the PlayStation Network, and I was able to really enjoy a few campaigns while Netflix was playing in the background, while my internet was stretched across all of my outdoor security cameras, while my network was also tied and connected to the smartphones, the tablets, and all these other things. And I would have to say, with my not so great internet service, even though all of those things were running and operating all at the same time, I was still able to play my games on the PlayStation Portal, and it was pretty amazing. So after the end of the day, if I had to honestly say, is the PlayStation Portal worth your money? Yes, and there are some stipulations in there. If you have a Lenovo Legion Go, an ROG Ally, an MSI Claw, or a Steam Deck, I don't think that the PlayStation Portal is going to be able to keep up with those, because those other devices that I just mentioned, they have their own built-in operating system. They have their own dedicated hardware and software, and they have their own built-in operating system. They also have the ability to install and download games, so that way they're not tied and limited to an internet connection. And also those other devices can download the Steam clients and then play some PlayStation games via their Steam client, which again, the PlayStation Portal can't do any of that. The PlayStation Portal can't install any applications. There is no web browser or any type of browsing feature. There isn't any way to install any type of applications. And that's again because the Portal doesn't have any built-in storage, not even expandable storage for a micro SD slot. So let's go back to the question of, is it worth your money, or should you go ahead and buy one of those other handhelds? And I would say this is worth your money is if you have a big PlayStation library, meaning you can play all your PlayStation games remotely on your PlayStation Portal. Another reason why I would say that the PlayStation Portal is worth your money over those other devices is because the price of the PlayStation Portal. The PlayStation Portal is going to be $199 USD, which is a really good price because if you already have a really big PlayStation gaming library, you could play all those games on this. And so if you're at a hotel or at your aunt's house, you're in your basement or at your office, as long as you have a strong and steady internet connection, it's going to give you some type of entertainment. All right, so even though I have the worst internet service in my house here in Seattle, the number one thing I could say for a pro tip is the fact that if you want your PlayStation Portal to operate and perform as best as possible, then make sure you actually hardwire in your Ethernet port to your PlayStation 5. And that's going to give you the best possible chance of success of streaming your games from your PS5 over to your PlayStation Portal. Now, if you don't have a PlayStation 5 and you're planning to use the PlayStation Portal as a means to play your PlayStation Plus premium games over the cloud, then I recommend that you actually go into your network settings for your home network or wherever it is, and then you have port forwarding activated for this device. Port forwarding allows internet packets on your network to dedicate those internet packets and bandwidth to your actual PlayStation Portal, which is not going to 100% guarantee the fact that you're going to play all your games flawlessly, but it really ups the chances. And that's what you really need, especially if you're going to be playing games over the cloud. All right, everybody, I hope you found this video helpful. I actually really love my PlayStation Portal. I think that the black color on this new PlayStation Portal is just really beautiful. My phone is black, my truck is black. I mean, I just love the color black. So if you found this video helpful, I really appreciate it if you could take a second and hit that like and subscribe button down below. Hit that bell notification so that way you know next time I drop a video, and then at the very least, share this video with somebody. You never know if my video might help out a friend or family member. I'll see you in the next one.